people have been killed at Bondi Beach in Sydney, with 29 currently in hospital. One of the gunmen is among the dead. Footage from the scene shows a man wresting a pump-action shotgun from one of the gunmen. The attack happened as people celebrated the Jewish festival of Hanukkah, which starts today. In a press conference, the New South Wales Police Premier Chris Mims said that one of the gunmen had been killed and another was in custody.
Two individuals began firing on a crowded group of families on Bondi Beach at Archer Park. This cowardly act of terrifying violence is shocking and painful to see and represents some of our worst fears about terrorism in Sydney. I very sadly need to report that as of now, there are at least 12 individuals that have been killed. One of the offenders has also been killed and one is in custody. This attack was designed to target Sydney's Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah.
Just to reiterate there, 12 dead, 29 injured, including a child and a police officer. Australian police say they are currently investigating if there is a third offender. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says the evil that was unleashed at Bondi Beach today is beyond comprehension.
This afternoon, there has been a devastating terrorist incident at Bondi at the Hanukkah by the Sea celebration. This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith. An act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism that has struck the heart of our nation. An attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian, and every Australian tonight will be, like me, devastated.
Strong words. More than 50 gunshots were heard as hundreds of people fled the scene in Sydney at around 6:40 p.m. local time.
Ran onto the beach. I guess everyone ran onto the beach. It was pretty terrifying. And yeah, I eventually went back to see what was happening. A few people helped. We sort of helped a few old people get up and get out of there, but it was like there were lots of bodies on the floor.
There has been plenty of reaction here in the UK, with the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, saying it is deeply distressing news and described it as an appalling attack. London Mayor Sadiq Khan has announced that extra officers from the Metropolitan Police will be on the streets of London following the attack. He says, "My thoughts and condolences, along with the rest of London, are with everyone affected by the horrific attack at Bondi Beach, Australia today." Meanwhile, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has reacted to the tragic events in Australia, saying the Hanukkah party shooting in Australia is horrendous. The threat is everywhere.
Genuinely horrendous. Last I hear, it's 10 dead and many, many wounded. I did see some video of an heroic Australian, taking the gun out of the hands of one of these terrorists. Desperately sorry for the Jewish community in Sydney, which is quite considerable. But equally, you realise actually the threat to the Jewish people is everywhere. It's not just in Manchester or in parts of North London, it's all over the world. And there is this real poison.
Earlier, we were joined by Sky News Australia journalist Shari Markson, who was speaking to us from Bondi Beach.
Police have this evening confirmed that they did find explosive devices in a car on Campbell Parade here on Bondi. It's just the main road behind us. So we don't know what that explosive device was intended to be used for. There were about 50 or 60 shots. This went on for a number of minutes. I'm a Jewish Australian. I've been reporting on the anti-Semitism crisis every single day for the past 2 years. I've been imploring the federal government, the Prime Minister, to take action. He hasn't taken enough action on the anti-Semitism that we've seen explode in the wake of October 7. Even our anti-Semitism envoy handed down a report with recommendations 3 or 4 months ago. He still hasn't acted on those recommendations, hasn't even said he will accept them. So the Jewish community has been vulnerable. We've been like sitting ducks here. It's not a surprise that something like this has happened. We've been warning that a serious event, that lives would be lost if the authorities didn't take anti-Semitism seriously, and they just didn't. They didn't act on it. Because of local domestic political issues. We had a federal election here in May. Some of the marginal seats that were in question are in areas that have a large Muslim community. So the ministers of this Labor government didn't want to be seen to be talking about anti-Semitism so much. It's left us very vulnerable. We have already been living in fear and anxiety. It's the first day of Hanukkah here in Australia. I was at a similar Hanukkah celebration just up the road from the one that was targeted tonight. Families, I mean, I've been here since this afternoon. I've been interviewing people who are on the scene, people who lost family members or whose family members were shot, parents whose 3-year-old little girl went missing and they found her under the body of a woman who'd been shot. You know, she took the bullet to save this 3-year-old girl who she didn't even know, to save that 3-year-old girl's life after she became separated from her parents. This is the worst.
Even begin to fathom. It seems like the newest fad is people from non-Islamic countries trying to normalize Sharia law. So let's talk about it. Sharia law isn't some sort of spiritual system that promotes kindness and modesty. Sharia law is an Islamic political system that dictates every aspect of your life, from what you can think, to what you can wear, to what you can eat. Anyone who thinks Sharia is compatible with Western civilization either has no idea what they're talking about or they're lying to you. For starters, Sharia law doesn't even believe in equality. Men are treated differently from women, and Muslims are treated differently from non-Muslims or infidels. If you want to understand what Sharia law looks like in practice, just look at my country of Iran, which has been occupied by the Islamic Republic since 1979. Non-Islamic music disappears, women are forced to hide behind cloths, dissent is punishable by death, and joy is pretty much regulated out of existence. Common features of Sharia include mandatory hijab or dress codes for women, gender segregation, death penalty for leaving Islam, death or strict corporal punishments for blasphemy, flogging or stoning for adultery, amputation for theft, male guardianship over all unmarried women no matter their age, women receiving half the inheritance of a man, a woman's testimony is worth only half of a man's testimony in court, criminalization of homosexuality, and severe restrictions on artistic, political, or social commentary. Does that sound like something that is compatible in any way, shape, or form with Western civilization? Here's a simple rule.
Port Arthur, this is absolutely devastating. Our country will never be the same. Our Jewish community will never be the same. No one's going to feel safe. If this can happen at Bondi, the iconic Bondi Beach, it can happen anywhere.
Yeah, you can see live pictures on your screen now of the scene. Very dark, very quiet now. Obviously the tape from the police vehicles there still. Absolutely devastating. And as you've just heard, Australia has seen the largest spike in anti-Semitic attacks of all the J7 countries. The J7 refers to the 7 countries around the world that have the largest Jewish communities. That obviously does include the UK as well as America.
For my allegiance.
You scratched that in yourself. Well done, bro.
No.
You said you're Christian.
Yes.
Can you remind me what the Old Testament says about those who curse Israel?
Oh man.
Do you know what the Old Testament says?
Enlighten me.
It says they will be cursed. Do you know what it says about those who will bless Israel?
Okay, so hang on.
Quick question. Jesus, which people did he belong to?
Armenian. Gaelic.
Armenian. He was Armenia's miles away.
No. No, he was Armenian.
He wasn't Armenian.
No, there's so many places and proof.
I just want to ask ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, was Jesus from Armenia?
No, Jesus wasn't from Armenia. He was historically from the region of Judea.
Yes, ask the Jewish made up.
Judea.
He wasn't born in Judah. Judah was right next to Galilee.
The Galilee.
Yeah, I can't pronounce those thingies.
France and Germany to name but some of them there. So it's not like this was unexpected in a way. The J7 meeting task force held their first meeting ever in Australia for the first time at the beginning of December, which just goes to show exactly how bad the threat to the Jewish community in Australia was being taken. And you also heard there that pretty much nothing has been done after that meeting, and the threat has escalated. Breaking in the last hour, we can now name one of the alleged attackers. That's authorities in Australia have confirmed that Naveed Akram, 24, from Bondi in Sydney's southwest, was one of the attackers. You can see a picture of him there. His driving licence has also been found at the scene. He was shot by the authorities, is arrested, remains in custody and remains in hospital. But just to reiterate, 12 people are dead. They went for a picnic by the sea. They're dead, including a child and a police officer. And as you've heard earlier on from Michael Putulo, some incredibly brave Australians there. Possibly more would have been killed if one man had not run in and grabbed the gun from one of the attackers. Incredibly proud people, incredibly brave people as well. And interesting what Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister, says, that his government now, this affects every Australian, not just Jewish Australians, every Australian, showing some backbone that you do wonder is slightly lacking in some other countries.
Forced to enforce it. That's not a moral code. That's an authoritarian system. Just ask Iranians having to deal with the Islamic morality police in occupied Iran for the last 47 years. If you're wondering why Islamists in Western countries are so obsessed with pushing small little Sharia allowances, things like halal-only menus or gender-segregated spaces or small little allowances, it's because Sharia expands gradually. Sharia always starts with preference, then expectation, and finally enforcement. Ask any Iranian. We've seen this story before and we know exactly how it ends. And if you're thinking to yourself, that could never happen here, that's exactly what Iranians were saying back in 1978. A year later, in 1979, when the Islamic Republic took over, women were beaten in the streets for showing their hair, music was outlawed, and in fact, an entire nation was dragged right back into the 7th century. Societies can
As the sun was setting over Bondi Beach, gunshots and screams filled the air.
A lot of gunshots.
After gunmen opened fire, killing several people, injuring dozens more, some critically.
I seen like a kid, like she was like maybe 8 years old, she got injured in the leg and she was crying and she was on the ground. So she was behind her mom.
I was holding somebody's child because he was screaming, I was saving this child.
And everyone is running down. And 2 police officers lying down on the ground next to me. I think I fall down and the blood was coming from my hand.
This was, authorities have now confirmed, an act of terror targeting Jewish worshippers.
We know that there were many people there to celebrate a happy occasion, the celebration of Hanukkah, and there was well over 1,000 people there when this took place. As a result of the circumstances of the incident tonight, at 9:36 p.m. this evening, I declared this to be a terrorist incident.
Remarkably, this man managed to disarm one of the gunmen.
Oh!
Who then retreated towards what appears to be the second shooter. Police have not ruled out the possibility of a third offender and say they have found a car containing what they believe to be explosives.
An attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian. And every Australian tonight will be, like me, devastated on this attack on our way of life.
Authorities have urged people not to speculate or spread unconfirmed rumours as their investigation continues, and Australia confronts this devastating act of terror. Will Tullis, ITV News.
Well, Helen Keenan, our reporter, was near the scene when it happened and sent us this report. There has been mass panic here in Sydney. The area has been evacuated, and you can see behind me that it remains sealed off. In fact, there are people still gathering here, still very emotional, some breaking down in tears as they try and take in just what has happened. There are several witnesses I've spoken to. Some are just still in their towels from when they ran clean the beach, and they told me how they could hear the shots firing, and people were fleeing from the scene, running, jumping into cars, desperate to get away.
We just looked at each other. We didn't know what to do. We were on the main road and we thought, we've got to get off this street. It's too open.
So we basically like ran off the road, jumped into her car, like we were like panicking, and then we had these cars in front of us, people like shoved into the boots and like bikinis, like panicking, like you could see their faces, and like everyone was just like hurtling down the street, and we were just like, oh my god, like everyone's like running away from this thing, like there's literally a mass shootout.
Well, everyone I've spoken to here has talked about their desperation, but also about their sadness that they are feeling. This is an attack that has not only rocked the Jewish community, but the whole of Sydney.
News from Australia, a fatal shooting which has killed 11 people and which police say targeted the Jewish community. It's been treated as a terrorist attack. It's happened in Sydney near the world-famous Bondi beach, where more than 1,000 people were attending an event to mark the start of Hanukkah late on Sunday afternoon. Witnesses report seeing 2 gunmen opening fire and hearing dozens of shots. One of the suspected attackers was killed and another suspect was wounded and is in custody. A vehicle containing improvised explosive devices was found nearby, and police are investigating whether a third person was involved. This video was filmed when the shooting began. You can hear the gunshots in the distance. 29 other people were taken to hospital, including 2 police officers who were shot and are in a serious condition. More closer footage of what's happened has emerged on social media sites. We should warn you, you may find these images distressing. This video shows what appears to be 2 gunmen on a bridge from a car park to the beach, dressed in dark clothing and opening fire from long-barreled weapons. They appear to be taking aim before shooting. A number of shots are fired. Meanwhile, this video was filmed as the gunfire took place. It shows people running away from the beach. The area where the shooting happened is thought to be in the background, halfway along the beach, as we can see it on the right. You can hear shots in the background, and the members of the public are clearly very afraid for their lives. Other video, which we believe was filmed on the beach shortly afterwards, shows numerous people being given emergency medical treatment. Now, we can also share with you this incredible footage, which appears to show a member of the public tackling one of the suspected gunmen while the incident was ongoing. He appears here wearing a white shirt after hiding between parked cars. He then approaches the armed man from behind and wrestles the weapon away from him. The gunman is then forced to the ground and then staggers away. The member of the public points the gun at him there is nothing to suggest that he opens fire. This all happens just a few meters away from the bridge, where the other suspected gunman is continuing to fire. The man in the white shirt eventually lays down the gun and takes shelter behind a tree. Authorities in New South Wales have called him a hero. Well, earlier I spoke to our reporter Tessa Wong, who's at Bondi Beach for us. She gave me this update.
We've just been told by the police that the IED, the improvised explosive devices that were suspected to be in the area, they were indeed in the area. They have been located, secured and removed from the area. This area is actually a car park. It's just right in front of the scene of the shooting. And we understand that several cars have been searched. And this area was an exclusion zone, which meant that nobody could go in and out. This has now just been turned into a crime scene.
We were hearing from the authorities saying that the casualty figures might rise in the coming hours. Do you get a sense that that part of the emergency operation has concluded that all of the survivors and perhaps those who've been killed have been removed from the scene of the shooting?
We can't say for sure. The police cordon is quite far away from the scene of the incident. What we can see, and you can see in the background behind me as well, that there are a lot of police vehicles, emergency vehicles, still going in and out of this crime scene. Further down, about 200 meters back down this car park, I could still see many vehicles, police vehicles with their lights on, and ambulances as well. So I think the operation is still ongoing.
You've been there for some hours now at the scene of this attack. What is your sense of what's going on and the significance of it for Australia?
Well, it's firstly a very shocking event that could have happened, not just in Australia, but also in this part of Sydney and Bondi Beach, the world famous Bondi Beach, as you mentioned earlier. And this area is actually a very family friendly, full of tourists area. Earlier today, it was a beautiful day at the beach. There were lots of people on the beach, and the whole stretch here was full of people, just thronging at the bars and the restaurants. There was an event that was held on the green just before the beach, just at the footbridge you can see behind me. It was a Jewish event, and I actually was at that footbridge just an hour before the shooting, crossing from the beach back to the houses back here. I saw the event that was being held. At that time, it had just started. There was loud music, lots of people going in and out of that event. There was about 200 people. There were children there. It looked very lively.
We can also hear now from some of the people who were there when the shooting happened.
It's impossible. I was holding somebody's child because he was screaming. I was saving this child. So.
I don't get scared very easily.
So
I went for a smoke. There was grounds, there all greeneries. I went for a smoke because you can't smoke there. Unfortunately, I'm a smoker. And I went over that sort of fence where the car parked, and then the shooting starts. And everyone is running down. And two police officers lying down on the ground next to me. I fall down and the blood was coming from my hand.
So I seen like a kid, like she was like maybe 8 years old. She got injured in the leg, and she was crying, and she was on the ground. So she was behind her mom. Her mom was on the ground as well. So her mom, she was holding her kid. She was 8 years old, and the other kid, she was like maybe 2-3 years old as well. And they've been like that, and many people they've been running away.
At the time, I was just on my sofa back at my apartment, currently staying on Campbell Road, and at the time I was on the FaceTime with my family from back home, and I just was sat watching a bit of YouTube and on FaceTime to them, and I just heard what sounded like fireworks going off, and it was multiple going off. So I sort of opened the blind to see what was going on, and I just saw an older lady get shot, and she was on the floor. Saw an older guy get shot, very badly injured on the left-hand side, and I just saw a bunch of people screaming, run towards me. I didn't know what was going on. At the time, I said I was on FaceTime to them, so they were just shouting and screaming, saying, get.
It's a desperately sad day. Once again, another mass terrorist attack by Islam on innocent Jews. The threat is not just on Jews inside their country in Israel, but all around the world. It's a lose-lose right now if you're a Jew. You're not allowed to have a country, but you're also not allowed to be in any other country. Let's go to the footage. The first is the beginning of the heavy shooting at Bondi Beach in Sydney, and then we will get more updates. Let's go. You can see both of them standing next to each other. The two of them there. Let's not forget, Australians have issued a huge number of visas to the so-called Palestinians over the last couple of years. And Australia is also one of the main hubs for the Islamic Republic of Iran. The IRGC are very much active there, but we'll talk about that properly because the Israeli officials are now blaming the Iranian regime for this in terms of funding it. People are running, and so far 12 confirmed dead, including a suspect, 30 injured, 2 of them police officers. Now, in terms of the response, we will go back live to Sydney, the footage that we have, because we just had the press conference by the authorities with more information and confirmation. They have now officially called it a terrorist attack. To the left. Eyewitness said that at least 50 shots were heard at Bondi Beach. It's been seen after the shooting, as obviously the police and the emergency services, the crew are continuing their rapid response.
Oh shit. I'll find it.
I think that's when someone actually intervened. Look at it, the civilian. There we go. There we go. He went for him. There we go. He got the gun. He's got it. That man is a hero. We still don't know who it is. I'll find out more information. He's saying it's safe now. We've got him. That guy's still there.
Le mec est hyper courageux. Oh.
No. Throwing things at him. Not going to do anything. At this point, would have helped because I think the other one still has. Yeah, the other one is still armed, so people didn't really feel it was safe to go and tackle the other shooter because his friend is still there. That's the one on the bridge. That's the one who's gonna die, I believe. He's dead already. So the other one's gone back to his friend.
Il a pris une deuxième arme.
His loss is gone, but there you go. You got another one. So these guys,
il a
they have that gun now.
du mec qui, tu sais, il l'avait pris dans sa main là.
He's injured.
Oui, oui, j'ai vu, j'ai vu. Ouais.
Les gars, je comprends pas ce qui se passe, gars. Je suis terrorisé.
Mec, c'est un attentat, frère. Eh, il y en a,
This was the moment you needed the police to be there.
Ouais.
But they weren't because the initial group of police officers who went there, they weren't even armed. I don't know what they were thinking. So, anyway, next clip, more. We can now confirm the identity of one of the suspects. Yeah. Here it is. One of the terrorists in the attack has been identified as the, I believe, Pakistani national, Nareed Akram, Muslim. The police have now raided his house in the suburbs of Sydney. That's the identification that they found on the scene. You can see his date of birth, 12th of August 2001. Quite young. I mean, anybody born after 2000 for me is very young. That's his photo as well. We're trying to get the confirmation if that's the one who has been eliminated or if that's the one who is now in custody and in critical condition. The other one, there's some information coming out that the other attacker may be from Afghanistan. One from Pakistan, one from Afghanistan. Again, we'll get that definitely confirmed and verified, but we do have the identification for one of them at least. Narwat Akram. There is also a statement that we have received. If we go back to the live feed, I don't know if that's yeah, okay. We have a statement from the National Imams Council. So we can now also confirm that Rabbi Eli Schlanger has recently, actually, he sent a letter to the Australian Prime Minister Albanese. In his letter, he wrote it after Australia decided to recognize a Palestinian state. The rabbi urged Albanese not to betray the Jewish people and called on him to reverse the decision. Today, this rabbi was murdered at the Hanukkah event.
Okay, so obviously very distressing scenes there in Wales. Something that is terrible and something, unfortunately, we are becoming more and more accustomed to. There have been some anti-establishment theories coming up. I don't really want to discuss them because I don't think it's the time to do so, because quite clearly there are two perpetrators on video evidence, so some people's minds do wonder. So yeah, the religion of peace strikes again. Obviously we don't know what the issue is with these two Muslim men. I'm assuming the other one is a Muslim as well. One of them definitely is because the ID was shown. So I guess whatever information is shared, we shall try to put these things together. But Australia has been another Western country that has invited members of a certain community, the Muslim community, in their troves, and unfortunately they are also paying the price. But this is not really a time for speculation and political talk. I think we just need to absorb everything and just reflect on what's happened, and we just need to give our thoughts and prayers to everybody that's been affected from this, which looks like the Jewish community who are celebrating Hanukkah in their own community. So those innocent victims, no matter what, are the victims. And obviously whatever political consequences come out of this. Just one last video from me, and then after this I'm going to close the live stream.
Islamic countries trying to normalize Sharia law. So let's talk about it. Sharia law isn't some sort of spiritual system that promotes kindness and modesty. Sharia law is an Islamic political system that dictates every aspect of your life, from what you can think, to what you can wear, to what you can eat. Anyone who thinks Sharia is compatible with Western civilization either has no idea what they're talking about, or they're lying to you. For starters, Sharia law doesn't even believe in equality. Men are treated differently from women, and Muslims are treated differently from non-Muslims or infidels. If you want to understand what Sharia law looks like in practice, just look at my country of Iran, which has been occupied by the Islamic Republic since 1979. Non-Islamic music disappears, women are forced to hide behind cloths, dissent is punishable by death, and joy is pretty much regulated out of existence. Common features of Sharia include mandatory hijab or dress codes for women, gender segregation, death penalty for leaving Islam, death or strict corporal punishments for blasphemy, flogging or stoning for adultery, amputation for theft, male guardianship over all unmarried women no matter their age, women receiving half the inheritance of a man, A woman's testimony is worth only half of a man's testimony in court, criminalization of homosexuality, and severe restrictions on artistic, political, or social commentary. Does that sound like something that is compatible in any way, shape, or form with Western civilization? Here's a simple rule. If a law requires an Islamic police force to enforce it, that's not a moral code. That's an authoritarian system. Just ask Iranians having to deal with the Islamic morality police in occupied Iran for the last 47 years. If you're wondering why Islamists in Western countries are so obsessed with pushing small little Sharia allowances, you know, things like halal-only menus or gender-segregated spaces or small little allowances, it's because Sharia expands gradually. Sharia always starts with preference, then expectation, and finally enforcement. Ask any Iranian. We've seen this story before and we know exactly how it ends. And if you're thinking to yourself, that could never happen here, that's exactly what Iranians were saying back in 1978. A year later, in 1979, when the Islamic Republic took over, women were beaten in the streets for showing their hair, music was outlawed, and in fact, an entire nation was dragged right back into the 7th century. Societies can collapse into extremism faster than you think. All it takes is apathy and political correctness. Sharia law has no place in Western civilization, and you need to ban it and nip it in the bud. And now you know.